Jason Aldridge was a man of routine, and in the depths of space, routine was a rare comfort. As one of the top mechanics aboard the Celestia, a state-of-the-art intergalactic research vessel, he was accustomed to the hum of engines and the steady rhythm of machines. Working among such advanced technology, especially the human-alien hybrid systems, was his element. But understanding the alien crew members who roamed the ship's halls? That was an entirely different challenge. One alien species, the Zeons, stood out for their insatiable curiosity, especially about human technology. Zalera, a particularly inquisitive Zeon, had taken a keen interest in Jason's work. Her appearance was nothing short of mesmerizing. Over 6 feet tall, with skin that shimmered like molten silver under the ship's artificial lights, and eyes that glowed a piercing violet. She moved with an ethereal grace, her elongated, delicate fingers tracing the contours of any device that caught her attention. Yet, Jason knew better than to get too charmed. Beauty, especially on an alien scale, often brought with it strange customs and even stranger interactions. On this particular afternoon, Jason was elbows deep in coolant lines when he heard the soft, clicking footsteps that signaled her approach. Jason, her voice, musical yet tinged with a childlike wonder, echoed through the quiet engineering bay. "I've heard you're quite skilled with your hands. I have a request." Curious, Jason wiped his hands on his grease-stained jumpsuit and turned toward her, noting the flicker of excitement in her glowing eyes. "What can I do for you, Zalera?" She pointed to a hover bike parked against the far wall, nearly hidden among the clutter of tools and machinery. "I've seen humans sit on that device, placing something between their legs while it moves beneath them. I wish to experience this thrill." Jason blinked, suppressing a grin as he tried to understand if she was joking. "The hover bike. You want to learn how to ride it?" "Yes." Her voice sparkled with enthusiasm, her silver skin catching the light as she leaned closer. "I've heard it's thrilling when the machine vibrates and propels forward." Jason's face grew hot, wondering if Zalera truly understood the nuances of her request. The Zeons were an advanced species, but their literal interpretations of human customs often led to moments just like this. "Well, it's not as wild as it sounds. I mean, it's just a vehicle. You sit on it and steer. It's not about... But you place that thing between your legs, yes?" She gestured with a focused gaze toward the hover bike seat. "Yes, technically," he stammered, rubbing the back of his neck, "but that's just how you control it." Zalera tilted her head in that familiar, curious way, absorbing his words. "I see. Will you demonstrate it for me? I want to feel the vibrations and the speed." Jason sighed, realizing there was no dodging this. "All right," he relented, leading her over to the bike. "I'll show you how it works. But remember, it's just a machine." Zalera's fingers glided along the hover bike's sleek curves, her fascination evident as he explained the basics. "You sit like this," he said, mounting the seat, "and hold the handlebars. Your legs go on either side." Her eyes widened, absorbing every detail as she watched him carefully. "Fascinating. And the machine vibrates as it moves?" Jason nodded, a slight smile breaking through his initial hesitation. "Yeah, but it's just the engine, nothing more." "Show me," she urged, her tone nearly breathless with excitement. With a reluctant chuckle, Jason activated the engine, and the bike hummed to life, hovering a few inches off the ground. Zalera stepped closer, her awe apparent as she reached out to feel the vibrations. "Incredible!" she gasped, eyes locked on the floating machine. "On my planet, we have nothing like this. The energy it emits, it's mesmerizing." Jason laughed. "It's just a hover bike, really. Nothing special." Zalera's curiosity only deepened, her gaze never leaving the machine. "May I try?" Jason hesitated. The bike wasn't exactly designed for Zeon physiology, but her eagerness was hard to resist. "All right, but I'll guide you through it. Take it slow, okay?" Her silver skin gleamed as she eagerly positioned herself on the bike, trying to mimic his posture. Though her long limbs made it awkward, her focus was unwavering. "Is this correct?" she asked, her tone tinged with uncertainty. "Yeah, close enough. Now, just grip the handlebars and—" But before he could finish, Zalera's fingers twisted the throttle. The hover bike shot forward, nearly knocking Jason off his feet as it zoomed across the engineering bay. Zalera clung to it, her panicked voice echoing as she struggled to regain control. "Wait, slow down," Jason yelled, chasing after her. But her frantic response echoed back, "I don't know how." Jason's heart pounded as he sprinted to keep up, desperately hoping he could prevent a full-scale disaster. This was definitely not how he'd planned to spend his afternoon. Jason sprinted through the engineering bay, heart pounding as he watched Zalera desperately cling to the out-of-control hover bike. The machine darted erratically, narrowly avoiding walls and towering stacks of equipment as her panicked yelps echoed off the metal walls. "Let go of the throttle," he shouted, waving his arms frantically, hoping his instructions would reach her through the roar of the engine. "But I don't know how," she cried, her violet eyes wide with a mixture of terror and exhilaration as the bike zigzagged unpredictably. Thinking fast, Jason grabbed a remote control from a nearby workbench, a tool designed to disable malfunctioning equipment. With a quick press, the hover bike sputtered, the engine losing power as it slowly descended to the ground with a soft thud. Zalera let out a long, shaky breath, her gaze still wide with awe. Jason jogged over, catching his breath. "You okay?" he asked, inspecting her for any signs of injury. She dismounted clumsily, her long limbs making the movement awkward. "Yes, I am unhurt," she replied, brushing a stray lock of silver hair from her face. "But that was far more intense than I expected." Jason chuckled, relief and amusement mingling in his voice. "Takes practice, that's all. Not everyone guns the throttle on their first go." Zalera glanced at the hover bike, all mixed with a tinge of embarrassment in her expression. "I believed I could handle it, but I overestimated my abilities." Noticing the small dent left on a crate, Jason gave her an encouraging smile. "Don't worry. You did fine for a first attempt. I've seen worse from humans." Her violet eyes brightened, a hint of pride softening her usually serious face. "Truly, perhaps I am not as incompetent as I feared." Jason grinned. "Far from it. Just need to take it slow. Next time, I'll walk you through it step by step." "Deal." Her curious expression returned, nodding with enthusiasm. "Deal," she replied, though her gaze lingered on him, thoughtful and intrigued. Chapter 3. A Ride to Remember. Life aboard the Celestia was predictable, a cycle of hums, clanks, and repairs that Jason Aldridge had grown comfortable with over the years. As a skilled mechanic, he thrived in the orderly world of machinery, where every tool had a purpose, and every piece fit together seamlessly. But ever since Zalera, the inquisitive Zeon, took a particular interest in him, his once predictable days had turned into anything but. Zalera had become a constant presence in Jason's routine, her boundless curiosity keeping him on his toes. Day after day, she'd hover in the engineering bay, asking questions that ranged from the finer details of plasma conduits to the peculiarities of human behavior. Her fascination with human customs, however, often led to moments of both awkwardness and humor. On one particular day, Zalera approached him with her usual intensity, her shimmering silver skin catching the dim light, her violet eyes wide with curiosity. "Jason," she began, her tone soft yet filled with urgency, "I have been observing human interactions more closely, and I am perplexed by something I've noticed." Jason, who was busy adjusting the ship's coolant regulators, glanced up, intrigued. "What's got you curious this time, Zalera?" Taking a step closer, her movements graceful and almost hypnotic, she asked, "I have seen humans engage in a form of physical contact called a hug." Jason froze, caught off guard. "Ah, yeah, a hug. It's a way of showing affection, comfort, or support." She nodded thoughtfully, her intense gaze never wavering. In Zeon culture, physical contact is rare, reserved only for the most intimate rituals. But humans seem comfortable with it, even in public. "Could you demonstrate it for me?" Jason's cheeks flushed slightly. She wasn't trying to be inappropriate. Her fascination was entirely academic. But hugging an alien, especially one as striking as Zalera, felt undeniably strange. "You want me to hug you?" "Yes," she replied earnestly, her eyes filled with a genuine desire to understand. "I wish to learn about this aspect of human behavior." Jason glanced around the engineering bay, suddenly feeling self-conscious. "All right, just don't make it weird, okay?" Zalera's face lit up with excitement, though she clearly tried to maintain her composure. As Jason stepped closer, he realized just how surreal this was. Her tall, otherworldly figure shimmered faintly under the artificial lights, making the moment feel almost dreamlike. "Okay," he muttered, taking a deep breath. A hug is simple. You just wrap your arms around the other person like this. He extended his arms, gently wrapping them around her torso. Her cool, metallic skin was smooth beneath his hands, and he could feel her heartbeat, a soft, unfamiliar rhythm that pulsed through her. "This is different," Zalera whispered, her voice a mix of surprise and wonder. "Your body radiates warmth. I did not anticipate this." Jason chuckled awkwardly, ignoring the strange tension. "Yeah, humans are warm-blooded. It's normal for us." Zalera slowly raised her own arms, tentatively placing them around his back, her movements stiff and unsure. As she tightened her grip slightly, mimicking the human gesture, they stood in silence, the ship's engines providing a soft background hum. "How does it feel?" Jason asked, his voice soft. She closed her eyes, her face contemplative. "It is strange, but not unpleasant. I understand now why humans find comfort in this." Jason slowly released her, stepping back and offering a reassuring smile. "It's not just the physical part, it's about connection. A hug can make someone feel less alone." Zalera's glowing gaze softened as she absorbed his words. "I see. It is a way to show support without words. A form of nonverbal communication that strengthens bonds." "Exactly," Jason said, feeling oddly touched by her genuine effort to understand. "It's just a part of how we interact." Her expression turned thoughtful, and Jason sensed a new depth to her curiosity. "Your species values closeness," she said, almost to herself. "How something so simple can mean so much is fascinating." Jason found himself smiling. "You don't really think about it until someone like you asks." As they resumed their work, Zalera's curiosity shifted from mechanics to more personal topics: human emotions, relationships, and the nature of connection. Jason realized that he, too, was learning, not just about her world but about his own. Zalera's graceful movements carried a hint of hesitation as she approached Jason, her violet eyes reflecting the dim lights of the engineering bay. She paused, searching for words, her usually confident demeanor softened. "Jason," she began, her voice a whisper that seemed to linger in the quiet space between them. "I have learned so much from you, about human emotions, the way you express your feelings through touch, and how you value relationships. But there is still something I cannot fully understand." Jason set down his tools, sensing the gravity in her tone. "Go on," he encouraged softly. Zalera took a tentative step closer, her shimmering silver skin reflecting the soft light as she gathered her thoughts. "Our interactions, our bond," she continued, "it has grown deeper than simple curiosity or friendship. There is something between us, something I cannot explain. I feel drawn to you, Jason." Jason's heart skipped a beat, a rush of unexpected emotions flooding through him. He had grown close to Zalera, but hearing her voice, those words stirred something deeper inside him, something he hadn't anticipated. I, Jason stammered, struggling to find the right words, but Zalera's hand rested gently on his arm, stopping him. "Please, let me finish," she said, her tone barely above a whisper. "I do not know if these feelings are what humans call love, or if they are merely a reflection of my fascination with you and your species. But I want to understand them. I want to understand us." Jason felt his chest tighten. In all his time aboard the Celestia, he had never imagined a connection like this, with an alien who not only shared his love for discovery but had also, in her own way, come to care for him on a level he had never anticipated. "I've thought about this too, Zalera," he admitted, his voice softer than usual. "I didn't realize how much I enjoyed spending time with you until recently. You've given me a new way to see things, and I think I've done the same for you." Zalera nodded, her glowing violet eyes meeting his with a rare vulnerability. "Yes. You have shown me what it means to feel, to connect in a way I never thought possible. But I must ask, Jason, what is this feeling between us? Is it love?" Jason exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "Love. Love's tricky. It's not just one thing, it's a whole mix of feelings. I don't know if what we feel is love, Zalera, but I do know that I care about you. A lot." Zalera's expression softened, a faint warmth spreading across her usually serene face. "Caring is the foundation of all relationships, is it not? Perhaps that is enough for now." They stood in comfortable silence, the hum of the ship's engines the only sound filling the space between them. For a moment, it felt as though the universe itself had paused, allowing them to bask in the quiet, unspoken connection they had built. Then, breaking the stillness, Zalera stepped even closer, her tall frame just inches from Jason's. "Jason," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of curiosity and resolve. "There is something else I wish to experience. You have shown me so much, but there is one human custom I have not yet fully understood." Jason raised an eyebrow, unsure what she was referring to. "What's that?" Zalera hesitated, her eyes searching his as though trying to gauge his reaction. "A kiss." Jason's breath caught in his throat. He hadn't expected this, hadn't imagined their bond would lead to such an intimate request. Kissing was, in human culture, a deeply personal and intimate gesture. But to Zalera, it was yet another mystery, another piece of humanity she longed to understand. He stammered, feeling his heart race. Her voice was calm, almost soothing. "I have observed humans kissing many times. It seems to express deep affection, sometimes love. I want to understand, Jason, but only if you are comfortable." Jason swallowed hard, his mind racing. He had shared so much with her, guiding her through human customs and emotions, helping her navigate the nuances of friendship and trust. But this felt like new, uncharted territory. And yet, as he looked into her glowing violet eyes, he realized that a part of him wanted to share this with her. It was no longer about satisfying her curiosity, it was about honoring the connection they had built. "Okay," he whispered, stepping closer to Zalera. "Just follow my lead." She nodded, her gaze unwavering. "I trust you, Jason." He took a deep breath, steadying himself as he gently placed his hands on her shoulders. Her skin felt familiar now, a cool, silvery texture that no longer seemed alien but instead felt like an integral part of the bond they had formed. Slowly, he leaned in, his heart pounding, as his lips gently brushed against hers. For Jason, it was a simple act, something he had shared with others before. But with Zalera, it felt different, a quiet intensity that seemed to transcend the physical act itself. For Zalera, it was a completely new experience, an unfamiliar sensation that sent ripples through her, connecting them in a way words could never express. When he pulled back, he saw the wonder in her eyes. "That was extraordinary," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "I felt connected to you in a way I cannot fully describe." Jason smiled, a warmth spreading through his chest. "That's the thing about a kiss. It's more than just physical. It's about the connection you share with someone." Zalera's gaze softened, and she placed a hand gently on his cheek, a gesture filled with both gratitude and affection. "Thank you, Jason. You have shown me so much. I am grateful for everything we have shared." Jason placed his hand over hers, feeling the weight of their connection in that simple touch. "I'm grateful too, Zalera. You've taught me just as much, maybe even more." For the rest of their time aboard the Celestia, Jason and Zalera continued to explore their connection, navigating the complexities of their emotions and the growing bond between them. What had begun as curiosity had blossomed into something profound, something neither of them could have foreseen. In the vastness of space, amid the stars and the unknown, Jason and Zalera had discovered a truth that transcended worlds, that no matter how different two beings might be, the possibility of connection was always there. And in that connection, they had found something worth holding on to.